Sports presents live in its 27th season, the Professional Bowlers Tour. Today, from Hartford, Connecticut, it's the $140,000 Greater Hartford Open. Here's our field of five. Seated fifth, making his third championship round appearance of the year and leading the tour in cashes, Tony Westlake. His opponent in the first game is the man players have nicknamed the Legend from the greater Detroit area, Harry Sullins. In the second game will be one of the hottest players on the tour. He's won here before from Beaumont, Mark Williams. The semifinal match will see the tour's most prolific non-champion from Houston, Pete McCordic. Our tournament leader hails from Gothenburg, Sweden, and needs to win to requalify for next week's Firestone, Mats Karlsson. That's our field for today's Professional Bowlers Tour telecast. Here's an interior shot of the Bradley Bowl, a capacity crowd waiting the finals of the Greater Hartford Open. 23 grand to the winner right here this afternoon. Good afternoon again, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Chris Schenkel, and it's my pleasure on behalf of all of us at ABC Sports to welcome you to 3 hours of great variety in sports, entertainment, and competition. Begins right here on the battlefield for the best of the professionals in bowling. And then at 4:30, Wide World of Sports. Ladies competing in gymnastics from Phoenix live, the United States versus the Soviet Union, and then from the Big A Aqueduct in Queens, New York, another Wood Memorial. A prep for the Kentucky Derby 2 weeks from now. A winner usually emerges from the Wood and goes on to the Derby and excels. Speaking of winners, my colleague has won twice right here. Here he is on the approach. Bo, Nelson Burton Jr.
Thank you, Chris. The 15th year Ken West has hosted the Greater Hartford Open, and it's always been a pivotal tournament because it's a tournament before the Firestone. We have 3 players in the field who have not qualified for the Firestone Tournament Champions. We only have room for one of them at the Firestone. Let's hear their comments. Tony, how about you? How about the Firestone next week?
Bo, I'd like to be there as much as anybody else, and I'm just going to take it one shot at a time.
Pete McCordic, you've been waiting a long time.
It's been a lifetime goal to get to Firestone. However, I'm just going to try not to think about it until the end of the last game.
And our tournament leader, Mats Karlsson, you need to requalify. What's your feelings?
I was at Firestone last year, and I want to go back.
All right, there it is, Chris. And there's a lot of money at stake in the Hartford Open. Let's take a look at the prize fund.
And the prize fund out of 140,000 total, 23 to the winner, 12, 8, 6, and 5. The winner of our first game will move up in our stepladder approach, our format head-to-head competition, and the loser will go, if he qualifies, to Akron, Ohio for the Firestone, and that check for $5,000. Here are our 2 competitors. Taller of the 2 at 6 feet, 30-year-old Harry Sullins, Sterling Heights on the left. Sterling Heights, Michigan, a suburb of Detroit. Crowd here welcoming Tony Westlake, a 29-year-old bachelor from Edmond, Oklahoma. A non-winner, while his opponent Sullins has 2 victories. First shot. All but the 7th pin, and some of our spectators, although there are TV monitors here, way off to our right, could not see the 7th pin. So thus the applause thinking it was a strike. We know better, don't we? A 5'6" throw is open with a spare. Now Harry Sullins, Bo, a Michigan bowler, land of great champions in the past.
You're right, Chris, and the one true power player in the championship field today, Harold Sullins.
That's not coming in for a full pocket hit. He too has left a 7, but in this case on the right lane here in the Greater Hartford Open.
Harold changes balls, to a lower surface friction ball to convert spares. He has the big hook on the first shot and likes to cut it down by changing balls for his spare. 7-pin, first frame.
So we're all even after 1. Thus far this year, Sullins has won $20,150. Last year he a little more than doubled that, but of course we're only in April of 1988.
Harold uses the full grip urethane bowling ball.
And now he'll have to shoot 10-pin on the left lane.
Harold, who has been voted the bowler of the year in the Detroit area the last few years, has a very powerful ball, but it doesn't break quite sharply enough on lane 27. He leaves the 10-pin, as you see, the 6-pin not getting up enough to notch it out. Now he switches to that lower surface friction ball, that shiny ball, to convert the spare.
Sullins now with 2 spares. Westlake, who opened our first match, marked with a spare, now shooting in the second frame. The winner of this game will meet Mark Williams of Beaumont, Texas. There you see that he's recorded the most PBA cashes in 88, 13 out of 15. First strike. We had a chance earlier talking about his confidence and ability to make spares.
I think that self-confidence is something that some people are born with, and when you have a situation like that, you have to be fearless and just go for it, and that's what I did.
That coming off a great performance last night, striking out to get to this spot, number 5. Wanted that double.
Tony Westlake, who started bowling in his dad Scotty's 16-lane bowling center in the Edmond, Oklahoma area, is using the same technique that Harold Sullins is using for spares, switching to a low surface friction ball to cut down the hook, convert to 10.
2 bowlers that take very little time on the approaches, moving right along here in the first match. Westlake rests and Sullins is up. 3rd frame, 2 spares. Second TV appearance this year. He was 5th at the Alameda Open earlier this year. 5th overall in his 6-year professional career. And his first strike. My colleague Nelson Burton asked him earlier how he acquired the nickname The Legend.
Oh boy, it came from a couple of friends back in the Detroit area. I bowled real well in Detroit for a couple of years, and that's how it started. More or less, I didn't have anything to do with it. Out here on tour, most of the other tour players just carried on and called me that myself. My name's Harold. I use Harry, but they use The Legend.
The Legend. Hoping to become another Buzz Fazio, Bob Strampy, Joe Joseph, Fred Wolf. All right, there's our first double of match number 1 live from Windsor Locks, Connecticut, a suburb of Hartford.
This is the leading edge of racing technology. The perfection of the new Pennzoil Z7 Special, powered by the Penske Chevrolet engine. And from day one, it has run on the world-class protection of Pennzoil motor oil. There is no other engine in the world like it, and no other oil in the world can protect it like Pennzoil. Pennzoil, world-class protection that exceeds U.S. warranty requirements of every car maker in the world. Now save $3 a case or 20 cents a quart. See mail-in rebate coupon on the back of every bottle.
Dave, new phones come on Monday.
Right.
Computer Thursday. And I think we're ready for that bookkeeper.
Oh, great. Does she load boxes?
Dave, I got us the extra truck.
My partner, Santa Claus.
You can't always prepare for success, but you can count on Ryder to help you handle it with the right truck at the right time.
What about a driver?
David, you're doing a great job.
Ryder. We're there at every turn.
Is there some sort of problem?
Seagram's Peach.
Well, it's smooth, like your skin.
Wild berries.
Luscious, like your lips.
Come with me.
See, it's Seagram's Golden. Sparkles, like your eyes. Anything for world peace.
An analysis of our championship pair.
Chris Lane's 27 and 28 here at Red Burnham's Bradley Bowl. The oil pattern this week is 26 feet of heavy oil in this area. It's a little bit lighter as it goes down to 45 feet in this area. And then it's dry all the way down here. We have 3-pound, 6-ounce pins. A pretty good scoring condition.
All right, and Tony Westlake now trailing by 9 pins. Spare strike spare, shooting in the 4th frame against Sullins of Sterling Heights, Michigan. Another 10 on the right lane, walking back very dejectedly, which is unlike his style.
Tony Westlake, as he's quickly up on the approach with a shiny ball, once again to convert his 2nd consecutive 10-pin.
High profile replay.
Just a wonderful style. 5-step delivery, keeps his eyes steady on the target, a shoulder-high backswing, pulls that left shoulder back as he initiates the power swing through the right side. A little stiff-legged at the line, but an excellent follow-through.
And the man who early yesterday, Friday, here in Windsor Locks, Connecticut, shot one of 4 perfect 300 games recorded during competition in the Greater Hartford Open. Tony Westlake. Now, the legend, Sullins, won 4 of his last 5 television matches. As we told you, this was his 2nd television appearance this year, 5th overall. Holding his head and holding firm now is an 8-pin on the right lane.
Look at this shot by Harold Sullins. You see the ball coming into the pocket. It hits the 1-3. Now watch the ball hit the 5, and the 5 is chopped straight back off the 8-pin. A bad break for Harold Sullins. We've seen this hit become the difference between winning and losing in many tournaments. The one that I recall more quickly is Palmer Fulgren's victory at the King Louis Open.
And Palmer Fulgren being our statistician once again after winning a few weeks ago. Another profile of Harry Sullins.
A true power player, Harold Sullins. 4-step delivery, pushes that ball, weighs quite strong, 6 feet, 175 pounds, cocks that wrist. Now see him bend that wrist under the ball and just snap it. Truly covers a lot of boards. He starts that ball about the 20th board, goes out to about the 6th board, then all the way back to the 17th board of the pocket area. He leads by 9.
And he'll have the opportunity, as he did in the first frame, to cover a 7-pin on the left lane. He has 2 married sisters and 2 bachelor brothers.
Chris, watch the action. As Harold comes in, the ball drives out the 1 and 3. It takes the 5-pin and it just slides in front of the 7-pin. A power player needs to carry this hit. 3-pound and 6 and 7-ounce pins. Harold usually carries that with all his big hook.
All right. 8 pins now separating these 2 professional. Close-up view of that ball.
Extra hole in the ball. There's 1 hole allowed on the PBA Tour for non-gripping purposes. Harold has used that ball for 2 solid years. It's his favorite ball, and what that does is create a side weight imbalance, and that is the bowling tip of the week this week. So hang in there. We'll tell you all about it. Now, Westlake up, trails by 8.
He is taking the lead with a double. Leads by 2. Can increase it to 12.
The championship pair of lanes is an ideally matched pair. The left lane 27 is 1 board slicker or tighter than 28. The players don't have to make much of a move at all. Westlake says he is playing right over the 2nd arrow on 27 and just 1 board left of the 2nd arrow on 28. So he's been in the pocket all 6 frames, can extend his lead to 12 with another strike.
All right, a 12-pin lead from the 29-year-old bachelor from Edmond, Oklahoma. Back with more following this.
Strength, pride, tradition. For centuries, the Clydesdale has been known as a special breed. Today, the Clydesdales symbolize Budweiser's dedication to quality, superior ingredients, exclusive beechwood aging, and a distinctively clean, crisp taste that only Budweiser can offer. Quality taste. Because this Bud's for you.
Imagine doing this to your car. It's unthinkable. Yet some car waxes and polishes contain abrasives that can scratch your car. Introducing new Armor All Car Wax with no harsh abrasives, with a polishing ingredient so fine it won't scratch your car. Armor All Car Wax. It shines and protects, but it won't scratch.
On Wide World Today, live from Phoenix, U.S. versus the Soviet Union, women's gymnastics, and then the 3-year-olds go at it at Aqueduct Wood Memorial Invitational.
Chris, I have a horse for you in the Wood Memorial.
Okay.
How about Brian's Time? Now, it hasn't rained in New York in a few days. The track is dry, very fast. This horse could lead wire to wire.
All right. That guy will pick Cherokee Colony. High hit, and now Mr. Sullins has an opportunity to try to cover this spare at the 3, 6, 9, 10.
Harold Sullins breaks a little bit high on the 3, 6, 9, 10, and he needs to get the ball over between the 3 and 6 pins to hopefully convert one of the very difficult spares in the professional bowlers tour.
There it is. 9, 10. Trouble. Open spare coming in the 7th.
One of the drawbacks of Harry's game has been his spare shooting that's plagued him for the last 2 years. When he gets that strike ball going, you can see how powerful he can be, but he's dug himself a little ditch here that it's going to be hard to get out of. Right now, Westlake going at a 2:19 pace. Sullins, if he strikes out, would have 2:22, but he needs to get some strikes.
Doesn't get the break, leaves the 10. Here's one of his 2 brothers and his mother own a bowling shirt and bowling trophy shop. Said he had a pro shop of his own in the basement, but is never there to do business. 27 pins the difference, and the leader is up, and as Sullins sits down with the red shirt, a little bit brighter than the Oklahoma Sooners jerseys. Really a vivid red. Tony Westlake. Again, a 7.
Westlake with a chance to open a commanding lead. Hits light in the wall shot area, and the head pin goes to the sideboard and takes out the 4 and 5 pins, but does not catch the 7 pin right there. That would have given him a 37-pin lead. With this conversion, he will lead Harold Sullins by 26 pins with 2 frames remaining.
Non-winner really wants to win today. As both told you, interviewing them at the top of the show, would qualify him for the Firestone Tournament of Champions. That's next week from Akron. 16th telecast in the 27th season. This should magnify the fact that making spares is very important. And this is the way Tony moved up to finish 5th.
First, second, and third rounds there you see as those bars. He had to qualify in the top 24 places. Then he moved to 12th, 9th, and up to 5th place, as Chris said, through a double to get into the championship round. Now he has a good chance to win this game.
Consistently making spares while his opponent Sullins had an open in the 7th. He's looking at the overhead score sheets here, and for 88, look at the money won by the top 5.
Benoit with the 100,000 from the Quaker State. Weber over 100,000. He won that last week in the U.S. Open. Boss, Holman, and Mark Williams, who will be coming up in the next match, round out the top 5. Now Sullins must strike.
Did not come up, leaving the 2 and sleeper 8.
Even for the pros, when a player leaves a sleeper pin, such as the 2-8 or the 3-9 combination that Harold left in the 7th frame, it becomes a very difficult spare. As you see the ball sliding by, taking out the 4 and 7 pins, but leaving the 2-8. Tough shot.
Huge crowd here at Bradley Bowl, adjacent to Bradley International Airport.
Harry Sullins must strike on this ball to have any chance. Still in it.
One of only 3 strikes in this match for Harry Sullins.
For Harry Sullins, with a strike here in the 11th and then another one in the 12th, he would finish with an even 200 game. That would force this young man, Tony Westlake, to get a reasonable count on his first ball. He wouldn't even need a mark. If Sullins doesn't strike, it's history.
Staying alive, Harry Sullins of Sterling Heights, Michigan.
With a strike on this shot, all that Tony Westlake will need is 7 pins.
Striking out, total of 5. Even 200 for Harry Sullins. And now, this is Tony Westlake. 7 pins. Not too big a thing to ask, Nelson.
Automatic. The way he's bowling a control player, just get the ball around the head pin. And he is the winner right here.
All right, and he'll be going against a Texan from Beaumont named Mark Williams. After this message, we're in Windsor Locks, Connecticut. The Professional Bowlers Tour is brought to you by Thompson's, the first name in lasting protection. By Budweiser, Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. And by Ryder, we're there at every turn. We'll be back after this message and a word from our local station.
I stained this last year, and it's fading already. Why?
You didn't protect it with Thompson's Water Seal Stain.
Look at that streaking. Guess I used the wrong stain.
You did. Only Water Seal Stain contains Thompson's Water Seal, a formula that's better than the leading brand at protecting both the color and the wood, and this test shows it.
With Water Seal Stain, the next time won't be for a long time.
Thompson's Water Seal Stain, beauty that lasts at last. Now available at selected paint, hardware, and home center stores.
Mom and Dad here? Yeah, they are.
A child torn from her foster family.
I love this child.
Given to a father who abused her. Tess Harper, based on a true story, Little Girl Lost, Monday.
If I were president of Speedy Muffler King, I'd fire the first mechanic who gave me that look when I asked a simple question. You know that look. My, aren't we stupid today?
No question is stupid at Speedy, and if you're not happy with our answers or our work, you'll get your money back plus 10% more. That's the new Speedy 110% satisfaction guarantee.
It just took the right man in charge. Thank you.
At Speedy, you're a somebody, 110% guaranteed.
Bowlers everywhere know the place to go for bowling equipment is Bowler's Supply. But did you know that Bowler's Supply has quite a selection of billiard tables and supplies, or that they can make any billiard table or top in the color and style of your choice? If not, stop in and see for yourself. And bowlers, be sure to ask about today's most popular balls on the tour, including Brunswick Rhino, Columbia U-Dot, AMF Angles, and the new urethane hammers. All can be expertly fitted and drilled to your size. So for selection and service, visit Bowler's Supply, 401 Carlisle Avenue, York.
TV 27 Harrisburg with translators at the following locations.
So Tony Westlake of Edmond, Oklahoma has moved on 216 to 200. He'll face the 85 Firestone winner, Mark Williams. We're going to Phoenix now live and bring in our colleague, Al Trutwig.
Well, Chris, moments ago in front of a crowd of about 15,000 here at the Arizona Veterans Memorial Coliseum, the United States and the Soviet Union in women's gymnastics competition got underway. We will have for you later on ABC's Wide World of Sports live coverage of the conclusion of this team competition. Right now, let's go to Jim McKay, who will tell us there's more on Wide World today. Jim?
It's been raining and cold here at Aqueduct, but the track is still classified as fast for the running of the Wood Memorial Invitational. At least 4 prospective Derby winners in this field today, seeking the gold. Private Terms, Cherokee Colony, and Brian's Time. Back to you, Chris.
Okay, gentlemen. That will follow Wide World of Sports live, except on the West Coast. And we're live in Windsor Locks, Connecticut for the second game. Westlake winning the first over Harry Sullins, 216, 200, 5 strikes each. Here he is shooting first. Game number 2. Powerful. 5'6", 165-pounder.
Looks awfully sharp. It's that first game under his belt, a well-practiced Tony Westlake, but he's going to need all his bowling skills against this man, Mark Williams, who 2 weeks ago won the Fairlanes Open. In fact, he dominated the field. He just crushed him. Let's see how sharp he is today.
Smooth and effective. Mark Williams, 4th television appearance this year, 15th overall. Won here, 1985, and then made it 2 straight by going on to Akron, as we will be this coming week, to win his first Firestone Tournament of Champions. Got to be considered one of the favorites there next week.
That's for sure. And as you see his grip on the ball and his index finger with a little tape on it to protect the sore finger.
Looked like it would get them all, but left the 10.
Solid 10, a shot that we see quite often among the professional bowlers. And there's really not much you can do about it. You just keep the ball around the pocket, keep the ball solid in the hole, as Williams is very diligent about cleaning off the conditioner oil on his ball. Carefully sets himself. You see that index finger I was talking about. It has a blister on that finger.
Well done. When he won 2 weeks ago, he was seated 3rd, as he is today. Now Westlake opening with a strike, shooting in the 2nd. See the high and low games. And he got 12 of those early yesterday for his perfect 300 game.
Here's the shot I love from director Jim Jeanette. The replay, you'll see the angle that Tony Westlake is playing right around the 2nd arrow. Conventional type release, gets that wrist well underneath the ball, fingers right behind it, ball over the 2nd arrow. The result is 10 pins in the pit, and he has a 10-pin lead.
Third frame. She nearly slid across the foul line. Put on the brakes, though, but left the 10.
Well, we see the difference between a solid 10-pin and what we call a weak 10-pin. The 6-pin on the right-hand part of your screen does not quite get up to the 10-pin, and a solid 10 is when it goes right around the top.
Tony, one of the faster trigger men when he bowls. He just gets up and fires away as Williams is ready. Okay, Mark Williams. We wanted his advice to aspiring young professionals. This is what he said.
I would advise anyone that aspire to come out on the Professional Bowlers Tour to find a coach that really knows the game of bowling and also knows their game well. In 1984, I met Fred Borden. He studied my game and has really helped me in the past years. And since 1984, my success has really changed.
All right. I'd like to double here and take a one-pin lead. A 10.
Well, we see the difference between the solid 10 and the weak 10. Look at the 6-pin. Now, if it was a solid 10, it'd go right up around the 10-pin. A weak 10, the 6-pin just lies down, doesn't have any action, and that is the difference. You see that pin never really got up high enough to knock out the 10-pin. Not much the pros can do about that except put a little more power on the ball, a little more hook.
Very close second match. Head-to-head competition live.
For great personal service and low everyday prices, check the lineup at your neighborhood True Value hardware store, where the April hardware value of the month is 3M Scotch brand Magic Transparent Tape with a dispenser. The dispenser stays in place for one-handed use, and the transparent tape won't split, tear, or yellow with age. In April, pick up the 3M tape with a dispenser for just $2.49, where you see the banner at participating True Value hardware stores and home centers.
Your neighborhood Napa Auto Parts store has more than 125,000 parts for the typical American car. Whatever that is.
Dad, is there any way you could send the money today?
To send money fast, come to Western Union. It'll get to any of our 10,000 locations usually in 15 minutes or less.
Keep in touch.
Western Union, the fastest way to send money.
Bowling's World Series and Super Bowl, the most coveted title. The $250,000 Firestone Tournament of Champions next Saturday on ABC.
Today we're at Bradley Bowl in Windsor Locks, Connecticut. We've just started the second match. Tony Westlake up and getting ready. Won the first over Harry Sullins, 216 to 200. Leading by 9, spare up, shooting in the fourth.
Tony Westlake, who uses a glove for both his index finger and his little finger. A little extra power.
Started with the double, marked with a spare, now back in the pocket with a powerful shot.
The line of Tony Westlake, very conventional style. He's just a well-practiced player and just rolls that wrist right under the ball. He really has a wonderful release. Doesn't go over the top of it, keeps it under control with high revolutions. And the results so far on the Professional Bowlers Tour have been excellent for this non-winner.
Another 10 for the man who finished third in the Don Carter New Orleans Classic. He was fifth at the King Louis, losing to the man he's bowling right now, Mark Williams.
Watch the 6-pin, the second pin on the right-hand part of your screen, and you'll see it just not quite get up to the 10-pin. There it is, another soft 10.
Here's the third and the fifth this year, showing great consistency. And he started out with a win and now still has a slight lead over this man who could become a two-time victor this year to join Brian Voss. Inebriated 4.
Well, Mark Williams does not get a good break. Here, watch the 2-pin. It goes to the sideboard and should take out the 4-pin, but it doesn't happen. And once again, he will have an easy spare, but will trail Westlake by 10 pins, almost over. Five-step delivery, and here's a man who's really learned to control his arm swing. He used to have a big bump in his swing. At this point, cups that wrist underneath the ball, and once again, you see his hand stay straight under the ball. There's a perfect picture. For you league bowlers that want to try to throw the effective hook, don't go over the top of the ball. Keep your hand underneath it. Put the revolutions on it with that wrist.
frames. Bo giving you league bowlers a tip there on his Old Spice tip of the week. Today he'll talk about the balance of a bowling ball and how it will help your game.
Here's a perfectly balanced ball right here. The ball hits the 1, 3, 5, and 9 pins. A perfect strike, if there is such a thing. All 10 pins in a pin.
Answering right back, Tony Westlake. Born in Altus, Oklahoma, tiny town in the southwestern part of the Sooner State.
He is backed on the tour, or sponsored by a fellow named Richard Altman, who owns a bowling center in Edmond, Oklahoma, where we will have our U.S. Open next year. Some of the other players that he backs on the tour, Altman does, Dickinson, Benoit, Berardi, and David Ozio. Pretty strong field.
And with that double, Tony Westlake, winner of the first match, leads over Williams by 20 pens.
During Pennzoil's Indy Winter Sale, you can save $3 a case or 20 cents a quart. Mail in the rebate coupon from the back of every specially marked bottle of Pennzoil. Get world-class protection and savings of $3 a case or 20 cents a quart only during Pennzoil's Indy Winter Sale.
What's going on? It's the Monroe free ride sale. Buy 3 Monroe shocks or struts and get a 4th shock free.
Great. I'll give the old dinosaur a better ride.
What? See your Monroe ride expert soon.
Have you looked inside your car lately? How hard could it be to wipe some Armor All protectant on the dash and the seats? Now, don't you feel like you went out and bought a new car, huh? Except I saved you the payments. You know, nothing down, no tax, no pressure.
It's more effective than the leading men's deodorant. It's been proven better in clinical tests at blocking odor. It's Old Spice Fast Track Wide Deodorant. It blocks odor better.
Next, top American women face their toughest test before Seoul. The U.S. beats the USSR, plus the Wood Memorial Invitational. All live on ABC's Wide World of Sports.
From Houston, Texas, Pete McCordic of 300 fame a year ago, January. He will meet the winner of our second game, which is underway. He happens to be a very close friend of the man up to bowl now, Mark Williams.
All 3 of those fellows are familiar with each other, being from that southwest region, the Texas, Oklahoma. Not only a rivalry in football, but right here on the lanes.
He has a strike up.
Really needs a shot.
Closes the gap to 10. Mark Williams.
Mark Williams, who has made a major change in his game when he talked about Freddie Borden. Here's what Freddie Borden changed. Not the push away, but at this point, Williams' arm swing used to bounce out away from his body. Borden changed it to a little bend in the elbow to accommodate the bounce out. Now it's right on line. He's always had the power on the bowling ball, and he just keeps getting better and better. Right now, he can even the match with one more strike. 8th frame.
$360,000 competing in 8 years, and that includes 5 victories.
What a marvelous performance by Mark Williams at the Fairlanes as he dominated the field, and once again, after 8 frames here, he's had every single ball in the pocket. Let's see if Westlake can answer the call. The match is even.
Not giving any quarter, Tony Westlake with a 3-bagger. Through 8 frames, and the same for his opponent. What a battle.
Interesting study. We have a jugs gun measuring the speed of the bowling balls this week, and Tony Westlake was 17 miles an hour in the first couple frames, 18 miles an hour in the 5th and 6th frames. As the match has tightened here, he's speeded it up to 19 miles an hour. The adrenaline's beginning to flow.
Big foundation strike for Westlake. Pressure back on Mark Williams.
The pressure really on Williams. He had the match even just 2 frames ago. He sat down. Westlake answered the challenge by Williams. Now Williams once again has to respond with some strikes. 9th frame.
type of shot has won Mark $56,240 already this year.
Good possibility of a tie match. Right now, Mark Williams, if he strikes, will even the match here in the 10th frame. It will be anybody's match as both players have a chance to come up. No matter what Williams does, he cannot shut out Tony Westlake, that young man sitting right there. Westlake, a potential 259. Williams, the most he can get is 249.
Like his own personal appearance, he has a well-groomed bowling game. Stylish, he is smooth and meticulous. There's a good close-up of him.
We've had some players get a hot hand out here this winter. Weber has bowled well. Obviously, Brian Voss. Tony Westlake's made the championship round a few times, but the last two performances by Mark Williams have been impeccable. He's kept the power on the ball, kept it under control, and everything in the pocket. Now, with the match all even, both players can determine their own destiny.
Broke up the split. Get left to 4-7. Crowd appreciating his performance.
Williams, who has left the 4-7, will finish with a 2:37 game and put the pressure on Westlake. Westlake going at a 2:39 pace. Good chance for a tie.
And should we have a tie, it's a two-frame roll-off. Here's Westlake.
Situation for Tony Westlake. If he strikes, he wins the match automatically. If he gets anything less than a strike, he would have to fill 18 pins in the 10th frame for a tie, 19 for a win, 17. He's a loser.
Left to 10.
There's the solid 10, and it came at an inopportune time for Tony Westlake. The ball just sails down. Now watch the 6-pin here as it goes flying around the 10-pin. There it is. It never touched the lane surface. Now Westlake must make this spare and strike to win.
There he is, the spare. Fans seeing the closeness to the channel on that shot.
Tony Westlake, strike, he wins, goes against Pete McCordic. 9, tie, initiates a 2-frame roll-off. Anything less than a tie, than 9, Mark Williams will go on to meet McCordic. It's a tie match. There you go.
Well, Williams a little sigh of relief because he is still alive as we go right to the 2-frame roll-off. Yet to determine who will meet Pete McCordic, 34-year-old Houstonian.
The last time we had a roll-off or a tie match on the ABC telecast was in Peoria last year, and it involved the man who will meet the winner of this match, Pete McCordic, who went against Parker Bone and defeated him. Now it's 2 frames. Williams will throw the first shot.
And the plague continues here with either 7 or 10 pins.
We said the players picked up their ball speed. We saw it up to 19 miles an hour, and here we have the solid 10 now. And that's the one drawback of using a lot of ball speed. You accelerate the pins right over the top of the pin behind them, leaving the solid hits. Now, pretend this is the 9th frame and you have 0, and the other player is getting ready to bowl the 9th. That's how the roll-off works.
Okay.
Now, Westlake up. He was the last to finish, so he'll be the last to start. You always start on the lane you finished on in the championship, in the game before.
All right, his 8th strike of this match. First, of course, in the roll-off.
All right, for Tony Westlake, he can shut out Mark Williams, and Mark will never come up and throw another shot if he can throw 2 more strikes and then get a count on the last ball. If he gets anything less, Williams has a chance to win in the 10th frame again. And don't forget, we could have a double tie.
Smaller packages, a real competitor.
Well, he talked about his interview last night of how Chris, you said he came from behind. I sat there and watched him throw 2 strikes to slide by Rod Pasteur for the top 5. And here's what Tony Westlake must do to shut out his opponent. If he does not strike on this ball, Williams can still win the match.
Tony Westlake, starting from the number 5 position in this field of 5. 3 in a row in the roll-off.
Well, some strange things have happened here at Bradley Bowl. We had a tornado here in 1979, and that would keep Tony Westlake from getting a strike. And we saw Bob Hanley foul on a series of strikes in 1980. But barring anything like that, Tony Westlake, by hitting just 1 pin and staying behind the line, will meet Pete McCordic.
That is the way to do it. Oh, a perfect 60 in a roll-off. Time for that tip of the week as Westlake goes against McCormick after this. Today's Old Spice tip of the week is brought to you by Old Spice, the clean, classic scent men love.
Last week on the bowling tip of the week, we talked about top weight and bottom weight in a bowling ball. But those are just one of the 3 weights or balances that affect the roll of a bowling ball. This week we're going to talk about left side weight towards the pocket and right side weight away from the 1-3 pocket. The American Bowling Congress allows a tolerance of 1 ounce difference between the 2 sides of a bowling ball. Now let's see how these weights affect the roll of your ball. First, left side weight towards the 1-3 pocket. If you have left side weight, the ball will spin a little bit more as it's going down the lane and then break sharply towards the pocket. This also is very effective on the short oil lane conditions we see today. Now, right side weight. Right side weight is not very often used at the regular level or house level, but is used quite a bit on the Pro Bowlers Tour where the lanes are very slick. You can use this weight to make your ball roll more evenly on slick lanes. You ask your pro in your bowling center which weight is perfect for your game in that particular center.
What kind of man whistled the Old Spice tune?
He's my daddy.
My practically perfect husband.
You can count on him.
He's the captain of my ship.
He's a friend.
The Old Spice man, a man's man.
Clean, refreshing Old Spice. It's the favorite scent of the American man, and he'll never change his tune.
And I love him for it.
Old Spice.
Now let Bo help you score even more. You'll also fix problems, improve strategy, and practice smarter with Bo Burton's new bowling video.
This video is for you.
ABC Sports and Old Spice bring you Bo Burton's new instructional video, Score More. Just $24.98 plus $3 shipping. Call 1-800-4ABC-VCR. That's 1-800-4ABC-VCR.
So after a 2-frame roll-off, Tony Westlake continues his winning ways, eliminating Mark Williams 60-50. And now Williams will go against Pete McCordic of Houston, Texas. 160 started here earlier in the week.
Standard field, Chris, average game for everybody. 203, 183 average for the top 24. And some of the other finishers, Rod Pasteur just missed by 2 pins. Wayne Webb, Firestone champion, steady. Hugh Miller's on the bubble this week. Andy Nauer, the good little lefty. Walter Ray Williams, Deadeye right there. Dapper Tom Baker. Chuck Pierce, the Texan right up there. Another Texan, David Ozio. Dennis Rakakis from Pennsylvania, good pro. Look at Johnny Petraglia up there. Randy Peterson, the Bachelor. Don Janello, Berardi. Richard Wolf, and Little Monticelli, another one of our foreign bowlers. Hanley, a former winner here, powerful Jim Pensek. Tony Morisi and Ron Williams round out the top 24.
All right, now we have a 34-year-old Texan, Pete McCordic, going against a 29-year-old bachelor from Edmond, Oklahoma. Westlake continues.
Even after 3 years, Duracell batteries have up to 90% of their power. 3-year storage life from Duracell.
Do it yourself. Do it for yourself. Do yourself proud with Minwax and Wood. Get a beautiful color that's like no other.
With Minwax Wood Finish to highlight the grain.
And for lasting protection with absolute perfection.
Top it with fast-drying Minwax polyurethane.
It's easy. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. Do yourself proud with Minwax and Wood.
Americans buy lots of imported cars. Isn't it nice to know that Napa has the parts right here when you need them? Don't miss the boat on parts for imports. Come to Napa. Your neighborhood Napa Auto Parts store has more than 125,000 parts for the typical American car. Whatever that is.
Okay, listen up. Oakley Hill's filling in for ball tonight.
For 3 years, Bill Oakley took orders. But tonight, he's got to stand up and take charge.
You make America work.
Here's to you, the clean, crisp taste of Beechwood-aged Budweiser. For all the guys who know it's not what you say, but what you do.
And now Tony Westlake, who's 1-2, greets Pete McCordic here in the semifinal match on the championship pair, which has produced some striking results here today.
Pretty evenly matched pair of lanes. The left-hand lane's just a little bit tighter than the right-hand lane, but neither lane has given the player much trouble. Now, semifinal match.
Oh, no. He's saying stronger things than that, I'm sure. 7-10.
The first really bad break for Tony Westlake. The ball comes in light in the 1-3 pocket. The 5 goes in front of the 7. The 6 goes around the 10. He's left with a 7-10 split.
2 victories, including a tie, 237, and a victory in the roll-off, 60-50.
Here's that action is you see the 5 pin go in front of the 7. The 6 goes around the 10. We call it the swishing 7-10 split. Now here's a man who has left super this week, Chris.
Westlake Caddy rallied from 10th position to finish 2nd. Looking, it's hard to believe, for his first title. Has been second 7 times. Has earned over $500,000 bowling. That's perseverance.
Well, it shows in his record, and it shows in his practice. He's always been a very persistent practicer. He practices still more than 50 games as a tour regular, plus the more than 50 games you'll bowl in a PBA tournament, counting warm-up balls. And that's the way to stay in top shape. He deserves a win. He has to earn it.
Leaving a 10. One of his 7 seconds was right here in 1982.
He was the tournament leader in 82, and he fell to Pete Weber, and he kind of recalled that to me before we went on the air. He says the difference was the half 10 on the right-hand lane, so I think he'll be able to hit this left-hand lane pretty well. If he can conquer 28, he's going to be tough.
Pete McCordic, sort of a wry smile. He's usually a pretty tense, nervous bowler. Who wouldn't be? But what a thrill, a year ago January, to see him bowl that perfect 300 game in California. That's the way the pros do it, Bo.
No doubt, Chris. There was just an ideal shot. Tony Westlake unperturbed about the bad break he got in the first frame when he left the 7-10 split. Well practiced, well experienced. The tour is really so much tougher 1988's as it compared to like when I started in the mid-60s. Just so many quality players, so used to the pressure and the action. As you see the full grip of Tony Westlake.
Winner of 2 games after an open to double. And trails by only 1. Next week, only winners at the Firestone Tournament of Champions.
Mark Williams won it, and Pete Weber will defend it. And a place I was this past week in Phoenix, Arizona for the A&W Fairlanes Pro Classic, May 21st.
All right, McCordic with a strike in the 3rd. In tip-top condition now, we asked him what his regimen was to get that way.
Last fall, as I realized I'm getting older every year and it's tougher to beat these young guys, I decided I better start taking a little bit better care of myself. I joined a health club and I work out regularly whenever I'm at home.
Another tip of the week.
Always catching it at the right time, too. When you're 33, 34, you can have a lot more miles on your body bowling on the tour than you can in a normal job. Now to take an 11-pin lead.
Oh, dancing pins on the left lane. We're in the semifinal match.
There are 3 good reasons to try A&W root beer. 1, it's rich, creamy, and delicious. 2, a frosty mug of A&W is a real change of pace from the usual boring soft drinks. 3, you don't buy A&W root beer, I may have to go back to my previous occupation. And pig catching don't pay half as good as advertising. Next time, try yourself an A&W.
Ace is the place.
Hey, Dave, can you help me with this? Sure, John. Without Ace, I'd really be lost. I know just what you need. It's a friendly place with people who really know their stuff. They help me find what I need. You need that? And then they tell me what I need to know. You need some batteries. To get the job done right. And I'll tell you, for a guy like me, that's really important.
Ace is the place.
I get the right stuff at the right price right here. Right. How can I go wrong? John? Hey, let me tell you, Ace is a place for me.
Tomorrow on ABC Sports, exclusive coverage of the 1988 U.S. Olympic trials begins with the men's marathon live. Over 100 will run, but only the top 3 finishers will go to the Olympics. Then, the U.S. men's gymnastics team gears up to defend their Olympic gold. They'll face one of the greatest gymnastics teams ever assembled when they meet the Soviet squad. And on Mutual of Omaha's Spirit of Adventure, it's a whitewater expedition as a headhunter's legacy comes to life. All tomorrow on ABC Sports.
The tournament sponsor here, genial host Ken West, Fred Burnham. The lady up there on the left is the twin sister of our production assistant, Lisa Stern. Are they identical?
That's for sure.
Take my word for it. You haven't seen Nancy, her sister, but they are. Whew.
Westlake trails by 11, can cut the lead to 1 with a strike.
What a semifinal match is developing here. Both have doubled now, 3rd and 4th frames, 1 pin separating them. Weeks average and 88 average
And no matter what happens, Chris, the Firestone Tournament of Champions will have a new winner. These are the 3 players that we interviewed at the top of the telecast. Our tournament leader, Mats Karlsson, Tony Westlake, and McCordic. Hugh Miller is out of the Firestone.
It's 4 in a row. And leads by 9. Double up. Teabagger for Pete McCordic, and they're shouting Pete here. Capacity crowd.
Pete McCordic, one of the favorites at Bradley Bowl, has always rolled well here, and one of the reasons he is such an improved player is his style, his 4-step delivery. And once again, he has changed his arm swing where he doesn't have that bump in the back. Now watch that follow through directly towards the target. You could put that picture on the front of a textbook for bowling, that finish. Back and forth match. Both players have a string of strikes.
Almost like a big football fullback going over the top of the line to score. What a strike.
Watch the action of the head pin. It's going to the sideboard, and the damage it does. You'll see the 2, 4, and 5 pins remaining, and there it is. They are 2, 4, 5, 7, and 8. Head pin does all the damage. Westlake trails.
Yes. He, too, gets some mixing action down there on the lane, and back to 1 pin. Short by that much. Edmond, Oklahoma. Has a sister, Debbie, that bowled in junior bowling for a while, but said she hasn't been active bowling lately.
Take a few lessons from her brother, and she'd be right back in good form. Now Westlake with a chance to retake the lead.
In the tense situations, he has excelled, Tony Westlake. We'll be back to show more of the semifinals.
Who wants to think about buying a new muffler?
At Midas, we stock more mufflers than anyone. Guarantee you, and get you in and out of here fast.
So, I want the number 1.
Nobody beats Midas.
It's a no-brainer.
Nobody.
Mom, send $500 soon, or there won't be a honeymoon.
To send money fast, come to Western Union. It'll get to any of our 10,000 locations, usually in 15 minutes or less. Western Union, the fastest way to send money.
This man once had a heart attack. Since then, his doctor prescribed exercise, the right foods, and aspirin. Studies show aspirin can help prevent second heart attacks. Ask your doctor about aspirin. Bayer, the wonder drug that works wonders.
New Tegrin medicated shampoo with conditioners leaves my hair looking great, and it's tough on dandruff.
And how do you know what tough is?
New Tegrin medicated shampoo with conditioners proves tough can be beautiful.
Bowling's World Series and Super Bowl, the most coveted title. The $250,000 Firestone Tournament of Champions next Saturday on ABC.
A spare from McCordic in the 7th, now shooting in the 8th. He had a 4-bagger working, left the 10 pin. While we were away, he made the spare. Running behind our time schedule, and here's a very deliberate tournament leader from Gothenburg, Sweden, Mats Karlsson.
Mats just dominated the field going into the last 8 games. His 42-game tournament had well over a 200-pin lead. McCordic pushed him a little bit last night, but Mats has to stand by to see who he meets in this semifinal game.
Now Westlake has gone out to a 20-pin lead as a result of 6 in a row, the last strike in the 8th frame. So it's a costly solid 10 in the 7th for McCordic, though.
That's very true, Chris. The right-hand lane, as we said earlier, has been the undoing of Pete McCordic many times as he left the solid 10 there in the critical 7th frame.
United States Olympic trials here on ABC tomorrow. Live men's marathon.
26.2 miles, a long way. And here's a guy going a long way towards winning this title, being strike here.
Now 10 in the 9th frame for Westlake. Who just joined us, he won the first game over Harry Sullins, 216 to 200. Then a 237 tie. Mark Williams, Westlake winning at 60 to 50. Thus in this game against McCordic.
Now McCordic trails by 19, 9th frame. Absolutely a must shot.
Westlake's lead to only 9 with that double.
Watch the action of the head pin. It's going to the sideboard, come all the way back across, and knock out the 10-pin. A terrific break for Pete McCordic. He had his dues coming. He has a chance to win this game right now. There's that head pin. It was hiding over in the left channel. Comes rolling across the lane. The subtle differences, Chris, between a chance to win and a sure loss.
Remember, both are non-winners.
This also sets up a possibility of another tie match. Possible 259 for McCordic, possible 258 for Westlake. 10th frame.
Great performance coming up here at the end for Pete McCordic, leading now by 1.
That is the best shot under pressure I have ever seen Pete McCordic throw. He waited for the ball, waited for his swing, rolled it very smoothly, did not muscle the shot. Now watch this. All 10 pins, he just drives them down, almost leaves a solid 9. He didn't roll that final shot in the perfect game last year as well as he rolled that one. But he has not won the match. He leads by 1 pin.
Begging at the line on one knee. 10-pin, still be in the 240s. What a performance.
But he hasn't won the match, Chris.
No.
Look at this. There's got to be disappointment etched on his face. He says, I don't throw it any better than that. His game, strikes, solid 10. Then he strung 4 in a row, another solid 10. 3 in a row, another solid 10. If there's such a thing, he bowled a perfect 248.
There it is. 248 for Pete McCordic and now Tony Westlake.
If Tony Westlake strikes and spares, we have another tie match. The match is all even. If Westlake does not strike on this ball, he loses. For Westlake, who has performed so well in the clutch in the past 24 hours, a memorable performance so far, but it's not over. If he spares, and he spare, we have a tie match. If he strikes, he will win the match and go on to meet Mats Karlsson.
And McCordic, did he be denied an opportunity in the finals to get his first PBA victory? Westlake looking for his first. Okay. 3 victories in a row. Appears to be, as last week we had Pete Weber winning 4 matches to win the title, but Mats Karlsson will meet the winner of this match. He's from Sweden.
He's asking what he needs. 1 pin, that will be enough. Stay behind the line, keep it in the building. There's a winner.
Gets them all. And shoots a big 258 to McCordic's big 248. 10-pin difference. We'll be back.
What you doing?
Hi, garage sale.
Garage sale? My lucky hat.
Moving means making lots of decisions. That's why Ryder helps you with our free Move It Yourself guide.
This came all the way from Hawaii.
Yeah, maybe a Hawaiian will buy it.
It helps you handle everything, from picking the best truck, to packing your china, to planning your expenses.
It's going to be worth a lot of money, sweetie. What do you think?
Honey, can we talk about this?
Ryder. We're there at every turn.
Okay, so you love your car. Whoa. You're not going inside yet. The tires, the 4 round things underneath. There you go. Now, see that Armor All protectant? Wipe some of that stuff on the tires and bumpers. Okay, now get in the car and do the dash and the seats. You can do this. This is not rocket science. Now, look at your car. Now go in the house and tell them how hard you worked. Go ahead. They don't know about Armor All. They'll buy it.
Monday, drug gang members and their victims tell the real story.
I gotta wash my back when I walk down the street.
Voices from the War Zone on ABC's World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Mad! I know what's coming next.
I soaked in it. Madge, I soaked in it. Madge, I soaked in it.
It's finally soaked in. Palmolive dishwashing liquid softens hands while you do dishes. And those thick suds get even the crustiest pans shiny and clean. Now everyone's going soft.
Madge, I soaked in it.
Original or lemon lime. Palmolive softens hands while you do dishes.
Lafitte, Louisiana and Old Milwaukee both mean something great to these guys. Lafitte means flat-bottom boat racing. And a Cajun feast that'll set your mouth on fire. And Old Milwaukee means a great beer. Cold, crisp, Old Milwaukee beer. And smooth, golden Old Milwaukee Light.
There's nothing like the flavor of a special place. An Old Milwaukee beer.
Old Milwaukee and Old Milwaukee Light.
It doesn't get any better than this.
Watch Jim Morris on 27 News at 6.
Tony Westlake from Edmond, Oklahoma, as you see, has gone all the way. Now he's in the championship match against Mats Karlsson, the tournament leader who's been extremely consistent all week long, holding down that top spot for the last 3 or 4 rounds, and you will see one of the most deliberate, accurate shooters in Karlsson. And if you've been with us, Westlake has shown what he's made of. Here in our 3-hour afternoon of competition and entertainment, following us live, women's gymnastics, United States versus the Soviet Union, and the Wood Memorial Invitational from Aqueduct. The 3-year-olds, one of the last preps for the Kentucky Derby, which is always the first Saturday in May.
Carried here right on ABC, and Chris, it's raining a little bit in New York, but I think the track will remain fast. As Jim McKay said, it's not very heavy. Should be a great race. And going into this championship match, you see Mats Karlsson, our tournament leader, putting a piece of tape in his thumb hole. Be a contrast in paces and styles. You'll have Karlsson with the deliberate pace, the straight ball, Tony Westlake, who's quick, bouncy, throws a little bit more power on the ball, and he has a snowball of momentum going. It's going to be hard for Mats to slow it down. If you had to pick a favorite, predict a winner here from the form so far, Mats has to be an underdog because Westlake is red hot.
Set now. 15 seconds in which to let it rip. Tenpin, the 31-year-old father of one from Gothenburg, Sweden, which is also the hometown of former world heavyweight boxing champion Ingemar Johansson. Sort of a neat seaport town. I did the World Figure Skating Championships there one year.
That sure had to be fun, as you see Mats with a very hard surface bowling ball for the spare.
Now Westlake, including his roll-off victory, 26 strikes, 3 games, in his 4th match of the afternoon, winning the last by 10 over Pete McCordic. Little fire plugs never get tired.
He looks sharp, and one of these two players will go to the Firestone, as you see the style of Tony Westlake from our peekaboo camera. He's still playing right between that 2nd and 3rd arrows, more towards the 2nd arrow. He has really looked sharp. Key frame to get out to an early lead.
What an opening for a 3-game winner, Tony Westlake. Karlsson with the spare in the 1st, now shooting in the 2nd.
Mats, who flies over here, he said this year he flew over from Gothenburg over to L.A., and he's flying back through Chicago, spends about $1,500 in airline fares. Now, his wife occasionally visits him over here in this country. She goes back and forth, so he needs to make some money.
Double whammy on the tax returns, huh? Well, we asked him how he is recognized in his native Sweden.
They treat me pretty good. The press at home is actually treating me real good. Just the same as over here. Just the difference is that Sweden is a small country, and a lot of people recognize me at home.
All right.
Chris, the television station from Sweden, called him, and they will show the replay of the Professional Bowlers Tour approximately in August, he says. So he could win this tournament, and nobody'd know about it for 4 months.
And on that left lane, another 10-pin. It's way open, then followed with strike on the right side.
He kind of chides himself, and he says, Lika till, good luck there. Swede has no good luck as befell him so far in the first 3 frames. It's 10-pin, strike, 10-pin.
Mats has 2 PBA titles, but must win here today to requalify, though, for next week's tournament of nothing but winners.
That's for sure. And one other special thing we have is the induction of Hall of Famers John Jowdy, Gary Dickinson, the great Mike McGrath, and Barry Asher will be inducted into the PBA Hall of Fame Monday night at the Firestone Country Club.
And the way Tony Westlake's bowling today is on his way to his first title, but it's early. He leads by 20 with a 3-bagger.
As Westlake has continued to throw strikes, 26 strikes the first 3 games, he looks just ever so sharp. And you get that sharpness through natural ability, experience on the tour, and lots of practice.
There's a 4-bagger through 4 frames in the championship match. We'll return.
Savages? Nah, it's just guys with skin a little irritated from shaving. That's why there's new Aqua Velva skin conditioning aftershave.
Hey, that's a different kind of Aqua Velva.
Right. It's a rich, creamy lotion for irritated skin. Guys prefer its soothing formula and great fragrance over the leading brand.
You savage.
New Aqua Velva skin conditioning aftershave soothes the savage skin.
One more reason. There's something about today's Aqua Velva man.
Is he perfect or what? When he drinks Seagram's Golden, this is karma. We'll have dinner, a few dates, get married, spend quiet nights with our darling baby girl in our rustic country farmhouse, and he'll get bored. He's too perfect. Off he'll run to his flashy parties with flashy women while I sit in this drafty old house with a screaming kid. I can buy my own Seagram's cooler, thank you very much, Mr. Flashy Perfect. Relationships are so complex these days.
Mats Karlsson, 5th frame. A little high, leaving a 4. We're behind our allotted time schedule of 90 minutes on this big afternoon, ABC Sports. In the 4th, with a spare up, Mats had a strike.
Mats cannot wait too long. He's been around the pocket, 10-pin strike, 10-pin strike, 4-pin, but his opponent is perfect through 4 frames.
The man who's proud of winning all the major European championships marks with a spare. We're looking at Annette, his wife and mother of young Richard.
And the Karlsson Group has 2 pro shops that they operate in Europe, one in Sweden and the other in Norway. So the man has dollars and whatever type of currency they have in Sweden coming from all directions.
We have a 5-bagger for Tony Westlake. Isn't that a pretty sight on the score sheet, Nelson?
Sure is, and we said earlier in the match that Westlake was a fire plug, steamroller type player, well practiced, and right now he can put Mats on the ropes with 1 more strike.
Strikes in a row. If he gets 6 more, True Value Hardware Stores, $100,000.
Mats Karlsson, 6 feet 1 inches tall, weighs approximately 80 kilos. Needs to get some strikes going. Trails by 50.
Spare working. Checking his slide on the approach in the right lane. Gets them all. He'll be shooting in the 7th.
Here's the shot that Mats just had. The 2-pin goes to the sideboard, gets between the 4 and 7 pins. Boom. He is struck on the right-hand lane every time. His downfall has been lane 27. He's been light for 10-pin, light for 10-pin, made a slight adjustment in the 5th frame, left a 4-pin, and he's in a position, the way his opponent Westlake's going, that he must strike.
Hanging in there. Mats Karlsson. Very tense and nervous. His wife, Jerry Levine, next to a very pretty Swedish lady. And now, 6 in a row, 7th frame. Yesterday we had one.
Well, the man who rolled the other perfect game at the Quaker State Open, Bob Benoit, is in that same stable of players sponsored by Richard Altman from Edmond, Oklahoma, along with Dickinson, Berardi, and Ozio. It would just be absolutely amazing that Altman could have 2 of his players pick up $100,000 bonus checks. It's possible.
8th frame. So often happens, 4-pin, breaking a string at 7. Appreciative full house. Relieving the pressure.
All right, the 4-pin an easy spare, but he does not have the match won. Mats Karlsson can still win the match.
Okay. Beyond the halfway point of our final match, championship game.
You want anything?
How about a light?
Whoa. Oh, Bob. Could you make that a Bud Light?
If you want the great taste of Bud Light, ask for it.
Did you see? No.
Did you? No. Bud Light. Because everything else is just a light.
Fixing this water damage will cost $1,200. Could I have prevented it?
You could with Thompson's Water Seal.
This water damage is going to run $750. What would have stopped it?
Prevent water damage with Thompson's Water Seal. Simply brush Thompson's on wood, brick, or concrete, and it penetrates to form a barrier water can't get past, even when driven by 98-mile-per-hour winds.
This time, I'm going to protect my new deck with Thompson's Water Seal. A great defense against repair expense.
When Radio Shack put their $849 computer on sale for only $599, I just had to have it because it runs the same IBM PC software I use at the office. I got this complete system, including color monitor, for only $899. And it came with 7 programs in one, like word processing, budgeting. My wife uses it to run her catering business.
Homework, Dad.
They use it so much, I'm thinking of getting my own.
Save $250 on a Tandy 1000 SX, only $599 with software. Complete system only $899 at Radio Shack.
Next, top American women face their toughest test before Seoul. The U.S. beats the USSR, plus the Wood Memorial Invitational. All live on ABC's Wide World of Sports.
While we were away with a double-up, Mats Karlsson with a strike in the 8th, left to 10, marked with a spare in the 9th. Here's a man that's been near perfect. Westlake striking in the 9th. Only 1 spare, that was in the 8th frame, Bo.
Just a tremendous performance, and you know, Mats Karlsson hasn't been so bad himself. You look at that score box for him. 10-pin strike, 10-pin, strike, 4-pin, strike, 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 10-pin. He's been around the pocket, but he hasn't used the amount of power that Westlake has used to catapult him into his first championship, a possible 279.
And the most consistent man on the tour, not winning until this moment. Qualification for the Firestone Tournament of Champions. 29-year-old bachelor from Edmond, Oklahoma.
And he has the luxury of a victory lap, something they won't have in the Olympic trials in that marathon.
Coming in with 3 victories, including a roll-off. He had 26 strikes. Now he's had only 1 spare in this championship match. $23,000 to go with his $34,000 already earned this year, cashing in 13 of 15 tournaments. Look at that, a 279. Only a spare, and Mats Karlsson did not re-qualify for the Firestone, losing to Tony Westlake. The Professional Bowlers Tour is brought to you by Armor All Protectant. It protects and beautifies every time you wash your car. By Aqua Velva. There's something about today's Aqua Velva man. And by Seagram's Coolers. This is where the fun starts.
He's on his way. Well, it was a really close match for a while, but Tony Westlake, who was just absolutely fantastic as he averaged almost 250 in defeating Mats Karlsson. And the capacity crowd out there is just absolutely enthralled with his great performances. My good buddy Chris Schenkel is going down to take a look at Ken West, who is presenting the trophy to Tony Westlake. Chris?
Hey, congratulations, young man, on that #1.
Thank you. I can't believe it. It's a dream come true. I don't know what to say. I'm in shock, I guess.
While you're getting out of that state of shock, Ken West, our tournament sponsor, with a check and a trophy.
Tony, we'd like to thank you for that clutch bowling, and good luck next week at Firestone. And here's a trophy for your winnings and a check for $23,000.
Thanks, Ken. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank Ken West and the people here at Bradley Bowl for having us again, and I'd like to thank my family and friends at home for all their support. And
we congratulate you. Nice going, Tony Westlake. Coming up next with ABC's Wide World of Sports, the United States battles the Soviet Union in women's gymnastics, plus Kentucky Derby hopefuls take off at the Wood Memorial Invitational. And tomorrow, ABC Sports coverage begins with the United States Olympic trials featuring the men's marathon. Also, America's top male gymnasts square off against the world champion Soviet squad. Then, Mutual of Omaha's Spirit of Adventure presents a Headhunter's Legacy. This has been a presentation of ABC's